Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of CLX Foundry Live here at CLX Gaming TV. I'm your host, DJ BluePDX, and joining me, of course, is our technical lead and our lead technical expert, Paul Steffens, and master builder Hayden Hutchinson, joining us for today's show. Gentlemen, hello, how are you?
Hey, good, how are you? Good.
Cool, awesome. So I understand we have an incredible build for David in Kansas City, Missouri, which is going to be fun, and also that today's the last day to get codes for the giveaway.
That's right.
So yeah, because that's going to end on the 30th. We'll talk about that a little bit more throughout the show. But right now, David in Kansas City is got a different kind of a system that than we've seen before. So let's talk about what's going into this big boy.
Alrighty, so we got another Team Red build today. Starting off, we got a Ryzen 7 7700X processor. Cooling that, we've got our Quench 240 AIO liquid cooler. And the motherboard we will be using for this build is an MSI Pro X670-P Wi-Fi. Got onboard Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
Yeah, which we discovered after much research today.
Yeah. We've got 16 gigs of RAM going in this. It's two sticks of 8 gigabyte DDR5-5200. Very nice.
Nice.
For our storage today, we've got one 500 gig NVMe M.2 drive. We're going to use a Kingston NV2 for today. And for our power supply, we've got a GAMDIAS 750 watt 80 plus bronze power supply.
Those are RGB, aren't they?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Have some nice RGB there. That'll sync up well with our case
with
fans.
The pretty colors.
Yeah. For our video card, we've got a XFX Radeon RX 6800 XT. It has 16 gigs of VRAM on there.
Cool.
And for our case fans, we've got 4 of our CLX RGB fans. Like I said, we'll sync these up with everything. It'll look real nice. Well, I don't think we've seen those fans in a few builds. And then for our case, we've got a Fantex Evolv X. We did one of these maybe on one of our test streams.
Yeah.
And we've been wanting to build one for a while. I really like this case.
It's such a nice case.
Yeah, we love building it. This is another one of our RAWs. Mostly we do the 011s on the show, so we'll get to building this one today. So yeah, I'll start taking the side panels off, and Hayden will start building the board, and we'll get started.
Awesome. For those of you who are here for our giveaway, the giveaway will happen. We're going to draw that winner at midnight on the 30th. On the last day of November, and drawing closes the last day of November. We'll be drawing winners, the winner on the 1st. One winner, just one. There you go. So make sure you stick in the chat, because I'm sure we're going to drop some cool codes down there to get you some extra entries, because let's be honest, you definitely want to pick up the opportunity to try and grab that custom PC that's sitting behind them, and we'll show that here in a little bit. Right now, let's take a look and discuss a little more what's going into this build. We've got, obviously, I mentioned a Ryzen 7700X. Now that's an octa-core processor, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yep. This is an 8-core processor using AMD's multi-threading to give us 16 threads.
Nice. It's got a pretty hefty cache system. It's got a 512 on the L1, 8 megs on the L2, and 32 megs on the L3 cache for that.
Nice. Yeah, that is good.
As far as the use clock, this thing goes up to 5.4 gigs.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's up there.
That's absurd.
We'll be getting this one higher than that too, since this one's getting overclocked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's also a thing. So apparently, David chose not only to have the GPU overclocked, but the CPU as well.
That's right. Yeah, he's got both options on there, so that'll be really fun. It's been a while since we've done an overclocked build.
So yeah, absolutely. As far as where this processor is going to be going and where it's going to be overclocked, it's going to be sitting inside of an MSI Pro X760p Wi-Fi and Bluetooth enabled motherboard. This motherboard is obviously it's an AM5 socket, so it works with any Ryzen 7000 series desktop processor. It can have up to 128 gigs of RAM. It supports DDR5 with a max of 6600 plus. So for the overclock, obviously. David chooses chaos like I do. Yes, Talk Chaos in the house. Hello, welcome. And by the way, if you have any questions about anything that you hear on the show or anything you see on the show or just about PC assembly in general, please feel free to ask. That's what we're here for, and that's what these guys are specialists at doing. So, let's see here. The motherboard comes obviously with a display port, an HDMI port. As far as its connectivity goes, it's got a 2.5 gig LAN port on top of the Wi-Fi 6E. What are some different usage situations where you would want to have both of those enabled, or is there one?
Yeah, so let's say if you had like a home network at home, obviously a home network at home, geez, ATM machine again, like we were just talking about. But yeah, if you had a home network and another PC or something else hooked up to this via Ethernet cable, that 2.5 is going to get you a lot faster, and then you can still be on the internet using the Wi-Fi. So you wouldn't need to be plugged into your, modem or router or whatever.
You weren't kidding about the fact that Hayden is fast. Oh, he already got past the heat sinks.
Yeah, Hayden is fast. I'll start
Hayden,
hiding stuff from him, so he'll slow down.
Right? All right, so let's talk real quick about some of the features of this board and the heat sinks that are on there. Hayden, tell us a little bit about what you see.
Well, we got a Lightning Gen 5 heatsink that's going to cover the M.2 that I already put in. That's going to make it to
Because
where
you're fast.
that's going to make it to where it keeps it nice and cool, so none of that heat messes with any of the performance when you're gaming or streaming or whatever the case may be.
So, is there a difference? Like, so are there Lightning heat sinks? Are there also Ultra heat sinks? Because 5.2s I remember come in either there's Ultras and then there is. You know what? Tell me about the different types of M.2 slots there are.
So
let's talk about
printed on the heatsink to show you what slot, what that port is under it. So it's a Lightning port under there. And yeah, there's Lightning, there's Ultra. Soon there'll be Ultra Lightning and all sorts of stuff. But basically, that refers to their transfer speeds. The newer the gen, obviously, the better the transfer speeds there are. So that's just something to keep in mind. Typically, boards are only going to have like this one probably. I don't know exactly, but they usually have.
Okay. And this board also comes with several different heat sinks, not only including on the I/O, but also the I/O ports area, but the north and south bridge.
That's right. Yeah, it's actually got a pretty beefy one there on the south bridge. You can see where it says Pro Series there, right next to Hayden's hand. So that's nice. That's cool. Typically on this is a X670 board. On all X570, we were seeing like a small fan on that south bridge. So
is it possible the fan is inside underneath the cover, or
I don't think it is. I think that's just a solid like a solid chunk of metal with the grooves cut out on the top. So I don't think this one has one.
Vastimus wants to know what we've got for funny thermal paste stories. Mine, of course, being that I used the whole tube.
Yeah, that's the we see that
I
a
was
lot.
like, oh, well, I'll just put it all on there, like toothpaste.
Yeah.
Nope, that was dumb, big dumb.
The
But it's funny because they
craziest
sell you a
ones
whole
I've seen were,
freaking tube of it,
Yeah.
and then don't necessarily. They're like, hey, just put some on the processor.
Right,
Find
put a
some.
little dot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, then what?
Find some.
Right? Yeah, but they give you a tube with enough to actually do like 18 different PCs.
The rest is a snack for when you're done.
Yeah.
Please do not eat your thermal paste.
The worst
So we've got
applications of thermal paste that I've seen are it being put onto like the processor pins and then putting the processor on top of that.
Oh God!
There's a whole subreddit called, I think it's Tech Sport Gore.
Yeah.
Is it? You can see some crazy stuff on there.
Insane.
Oh, that's actually horrifying.
Yeah, it is.
Welcome, Shasta's here. Mike mentions that Lightning versus Ultra separate ratings from the Gen 3 and Gen 4 ratings of M.2s. First time hearing of Lightning or Ultra. Okay.
Yeah, I think Lightning is the newest one. There's always some new one coming out.
Pretty sure it's the newest.
So it's one of those things that I see, oh, that's a new word. That means it's faster. It's just kind of
Right.
what I've defaulted to. So, yeah.
So as far as the case goes, let's talk about the ports on the case that are built in for the front panel.
Yeah, so let me show that real quick here because I like this. So the front panel just goes on here, and I'll show you because I like this door. You can see our front I/O right here. Maybe if we go a little bit higher there, Jason, if we're able to. Yeah, perfect, right there. So you can see our I/O right here. What I like about this case for the front panel, it just comes on like this. Then you've got this door here that covers it, gives you a nice clean look, and then you can just push on the top of this and it flips up. So we've got two 3.0 ports, a Type-C, a headset and mic, and then we got, you know, power, or this is like fan buttons and stuff, power buttons on the top right here.
Interesting. This, along with those front ports, we also have four USB 2.0s. We've also got on the rear 4 USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A's. We've got 2 USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A's, and then we have 1 USB Type C on the back. But we also have a Gen 2 Type C. Well, it's a Gen 2 X2, which I think is the 20 gig. That's that 20 gig high speed port on the back of that motherboard.
Okay, yeah. There's so many letters and numbers in USB now.
I know, it's ridiculous. As for the Wi-Fi 6E, it is that covers just about basically everything you could possibly think of when it comes to bandwidth, as well as the Bluetooth 5.2. As Doc Chaos mentioned, he just upgraded to Bluetooth to the current Bluetooth to 5.0, and he said the connectivity and speeds are super impressive and stable compared to the old one. And I've heard that as well. What are some of the big things you've noticed as a difference from Bluetooth 4 to Bluetooth 5? That one's for you, Paul.
Oh, sorry, I thought that was to Doc. I was wanting to hear shit. Yeah, so it's the biggest thing is the transfer speeds. So like, you know, if you got a headset, there should be less input lag and lag coming back there. So like, I haven't used a Bluetooth headset, but this next generation of it is making me want to. I've had wireless headsets before, but none that were like Bluetooth connected to the motherboard, so I'm very interested in that now. I think back in the day that wasn't really a thing you did. Like Bluetooth was like for some weird, you know, peripherals that weren't used that often. At least that's my experience with it.
Gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, it looks like it's yeah, there's all sorts of different information apparently online that I now am wanting to dive deep into that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But all right, we've got the motherboard. Looks like we're getting that mounted. Any specific advice, because it's a different case? This isn't this isn't the 11. This is different. What are some of the advantages, or what are you noticing in the difference in how you're mounting that motherboard, Hayden?
For the most part, I mean, it's kind of the same. I feel like you have a little more space to work with. The 11 sometimes seems a little tight when you're trying to put in the board.
Yeah, it can be if you got like fans and a radiator at the top of the 11, it can get pretty tight. This one you definitely have a lot of room. It's a little bit taller. The motherboard sits lower in this case. Like we've talked about on the 11s, where it's like a third of the way in. So this case design, it sits more like a traditional case, kind of at the back. I mean, it's not all the way on the back, but it's pretty close. And our power supply is under that, whereas on the 011s, the power supply is actually behind the motherboard tray.
Yeah.
And this case also keeps so this case's power supply is going to intake through the bottom and exhaust out the rear, this hole right here. And that's also going to keep the heat out of the main part of the case like the 011 does. It just does it in a different way.
Gotcha. Doc mentions that pairing is instantaneous now with the new Bluetooth, and better range allows him to walk out of a room and leave the headset on. The old one would lose connectivity about 20 feet from the PC, and now he can go all the way to the mailbox, which is about 60 feet from the PC.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's what it was, the range.
Insane.
That's, yeah.
Wild West PNW, Pacific Northwest. Hello, hello. How's it going? As a Portlander, I see the PNW. I'm like, yeah, hello, hello. What's going on? Let's see here. This board obviously comes built in with the Realtek ALC 4080 codec. That's 7.1 complete high performance surround sound on that. It's also got an IR port on the back. which some people still use, some people don't. It's kind of a hit or miss based on personal preference.
Yeah, I used it on my Astro A50s, and it seemed really good. It was the one that they were the ones that you like hook the base up to, and then I think it's wirelessly connected to the base.
That's what I use for DJing.
Okay,
is my A50s. Yeah, and they're great. There's zero lag at all.
I've ever had.
But yeah. Going good. Says not happy about the snow. Wild West. Where in the Pacific Northwest are you, and where are you getting snow at? I know it is. We're sitting right above freezing in Portland right now. Just right above freezing. And I know that my mom already got. She lives up in the mountains, about an hour out, and they got their first dustings of snow. But which is weird because we're supposed to have a giant, like, you're in Aberdeen? Okay, gotcha. A little bit higher elevation, so yeah. Yep. Travel through there every time I'm going up to the offices in Redmond. Nice. All right, so now we've got this big bad boy up. This is coming obviously with 16 gigs of DDR5 brought to you by Kingston. It's DDR5-5200, 2 8 gig sticks. Obviously a max of 128, but 16 on this board with DDR5 should be pretty hefty.
Yeah, 16 will be plenty, especially at that 5200 speed. That's what I'm most excited about this build, is the RAM speed on this. I'm jealous.
Nice.
I want DDR5.
DDR5
Yeah, I've heard
is so fast.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm excited about that one.
It's making me want to switch.
Yeah.
As for that hard drive that went in underneath that heatsink, it is a 500 gig M.2 PCIe 3.0 NVMe SSD. And then we just have room for a secondary drive. Now, like, assuming they're just going to be, that David's just putting the operating system on here, because there's not really a whole lot of room with the 500 gigs for games and such. Does this case have a hot swap bay similar to the O11?
So it doesn't have a hot swap bay, but you can fit probably more hard drives in this than you can the O11. So let me grab the box here. I'll show you how. You can fit like 2 in the bottom, and then I don't even know, like 6 in the side. Like, it's crazy. You can stack them up like shelves in the middle of the case.
No kidding. That's awesome.
Yeah, we've done it a couple times when we have customers who order a lot of extra storage drives, but we don't typically put them there just because it's not the most sturdy place. We like to put them in the bottom. So I'll show you that right now. So this case comes with these trays for your hard drive. You can also fit a 2.5-inch drive in here using the holes on the bottom. But it comes with special screws that your hard drive will go into. These will all be sent along with the box, the accessory box. Then this has these little clips here at the bottom. There we go. You can see these clips by my fingers. And then there's grooves. I'm going to grab the case real quick, Hayden. There's grooves down here in the bottom. I don't know if we'll be able, you can see those cutouts there. You see the light coming through. You just put this in here, push it forward, and you'll hear it click.
It's really nice.
I really like this design for that. We won't be installing these. We'll just leave them. That way he doesn't have to take them out if he does want to add a drive. He can just put them in here and then install them.
Okay. Makes it very, very easy.
Yeah, it's super easy. You will have to run, a SATA data cable and a power cable, but he'll have a SATA power. We'll leave an unplugged SATA power near that bay, so he can just plug it in.
Awfully kind of you.
Yeah.
So, with that all being said, I want to talk a little bit about something that goes in here. In the Foundry section of our website, there is options not only to upgrade the thermal paste, but also to overclock the GPU and CPU. And one thing that I noticed is that David selected to have that overclocked. Let's talk about each of those overclocking processes, what it does, what the advantages are for having you do it as opposed to trying to do it on your own.
Yeah, so the advantage of having us do it, obviously we're very experienced in doing it, and we're going to stress test the system for 12 hours after we've established a stable overclock, so that you get a good stable system. So what we do when this goes into testing, once it's done here, like every computer, we'll get the BIOS loaded, get the operating system loaded, anything else the customer wants, and that's when we'll start overclocking it. We've done enough to where we kind of have a good baseline for what we want to shoot for. It's part of the silicon lottery on how far you can push a CPU, which just refers to the silicon that was used to make it. Sometimes you get a really good chip, sometimes you get a not so good chip. But then we'll just push it as far as we can that we believe is stable and can keep it, somewhat cool. And yeah, you'll have a system that's better than the boost clock.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
It's really fun.
I'm now looking to. I'm going to be honest. I just decided to pull up my system to see what kind of Bluetooth I have installed. I have no idea.
Oh yeah.
Because I know my gaming system has has Bluetooth on it. I just don't think I've ever turned it on. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I think my motherboard does too, but I just haven't. I have it plugged in. I have it hardwired.
Interesting, right? Like King jokes over, like, get it together, DJ. Come on, come on, get it together. Interesting. Okay, well, apparently it is turned on. I just don't think I have anything hooked up to it, which is weird because everything I do have is connected via my Logitech wireless device hub. So, with that being said, so we've got the overclock that's going to happen on the CPU and the GPU. Let's chat a little bit about that big bad boy, the GPU. Now, a lot of times we've been doing a lot of NVIDIAs over the the 6 months we've been doing the show. But I believe last week we had one, and this week we've got another one. It is the AMD Radeon RX 6800 XT this time, 16 gig. Let's talk a little bit about this card because it's a big one.
Yeah, so this is like you said, it's an XFX RX 6800 XT, 16 gigs of VRAM on this. For our video outputs, we have one HDMI and 3 DisplayPort, which I like there. I like using DisplayPort. If you can, always use DisplayPort. And yeah, this is pretty much equivalent to a 3080. Depends on what games you're playing, what tests you're running to see there. But this does have more VRAM, which is nice. If you're looking for a card that's in that same performance area but want a little bit more VRAM, this would be a good one to go with. And yeah, we don't see too many of these, but it's kind of nice to have one, especially to overclock it.
So I've thought. I read somewhere that there are 6800 XTs that have a USB-C port on them.
Right. Yeah. So some of the 6800 XTs do have a Type-C on there. It just depends which model you're getting and if that's necessary to you. I've personally never been in a situation where I needed a Type-C connection on my video card, but that's definitely something to look for when you're shopping around. Make sure the video outputs are what you need, and that's really easy to see. Just look up video output of that card, and that's what's referenced to the back of the card where you actually plug the monitors into this part right here.
Gotcha. As far as weight's concerned, how heavy do you think that card is? I mean, comparatively.
It's lighter than most cards, honestly. It looks pretty heavy.
It's pretty light.
It's just the length. It's still a 2.5 slot card, whereas we usually see. I mean, the cards we've been doing have been like 3 to 4 slots, which is huge.
Right. That 4090 is a massive beast.
Yeah. But they've made it. I think they just decided to make it a longer design, being a little bit less wide, so that it'll fit into better situations. So our heat sinks kind of spread out. It does feel like
Interesting. Speaking of heat sinks, do you want to take a chance and talk a little bit about how graphic cards work? Because I always find this to be quite interesting. Let's show people what that actually entails.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Somehow I always forget about it, but I've got it here. So I've got an out of warranty defective GTX 1050 Ti here. It's an EVGA, so this should probably go in a museum. But what I'm going to do is take the heatsink and fans off of this and kind of show you what a GPU actually looks like. So before I get into that, I just kind of want to point out here, the PCB on this card, it's this thin layer of kind of tan brown that you can see right here. I'm running my finger on. So that is the same width as on this 6800 XT. So, and that's really where everything on the card is. Once you get the heat sinks and fans off of a card, there's really not much to them. So,
huh?
Yeah, it really is just a big shell. I was super like blown away when I first saw a GPU without its fans and heatsink on there. So I've unscrewed these screws. You don't want to do this to your card at home. It will void the warranty.
Right? Please do not do this.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. Perfect. I've got the screws off here. I'll take this off. There's going to be one wire connecting, giving power to the fans. That will undo, and then you can see the thermal paste right there. That thermal paste is actually on our GPU itself, just like you would do for your processor. So this right here is your video card. That's all this is. The same as the 6800 XT. This is exactly what it looks like. The 6800 XT is a little bit longer, but it's just this thin card right here. If we go to this side shot again, Jason. So right here we can see our memory chips. This is a 4 gig card, so we've got memory chips 1, 2, 3, and 4. Each of those are 1 gig. All memory chips they can be different sizes, so just because there's 4 here doesn't mean 4 gigs. These could all be 2 gigs and we have 8, but just something to kind of note that you can physically see the memory on here, which I think is kind of cool.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
That's wild.
That's a video card. Yeah, it's crazy how thin they are.
Yeah, so
like,
much for such a beefy thing, right? It's very tiny.
It really shows you like how powerful these cards are when it's like, oh, this is all the this is all the expensive stuff right here, and then the giant thing that makes it look big is just to keep it cool and operating.
It's the $5 part of the whole piece.
Yeah, right.
That's incredible. By the way, just I figured it out. If you go into your device manager and into Bluetooth and click on your wireless the whatever your chipset is, you'll see where one of the options has a tab that says Advanced. Under firmware version, I discovered that LMP10 is all Bluetooth Core 5.1. Right? So apparently it is a 5.1 capable Bluetooth hoo-ha.
Okay.
Which is interesting. So now I'm going to have to try using it.
Yeah.
That's hilariously awkward.
It's definitely, I have an older chipset. I think I'm running 11th gen Intel right now. But I'm sure it still has Bluetooth. The only Bluetooth I use is this earpiece right here.
Yeah. Let's see here. Questions. It's rather educational for DIY water cooling your own GPU. Yes. Mykins brings up a good point. That, for doing that kind of thing, that's taking it apart might actually be necessary. How would one go around or go about water cooling a GPU?
Yeah.
I mean, CPUs are different, but
yeah. So you would essentially do what I just did there. You'd want to pull the old cooler off. And then you're going to have to buy a block that's going to fit that card. So that's the biggest thing you want to start looking for if you're going to go there. We use pretty much only EK here for our blocks, but you want to make sure that block will match that card. Just because you're getting a 3080 block doesn't mean it's going to fit all 3080 cards. So you really want to look up your model of GPU and make sure it's compatible with whatever block you're getting. But yeah, essentially you take this cooler off. Usually the block that you're putting on comes with some thermal pads that you'll cut out and put on top of certain surface mount components there to help cool it. And then you put thermal paste on and put the block on, and then it's pretty. Then it looks like this, just a lot cooler. So
awesome.
Yeah.
That's good point. Good news. Speaking of water cooling, let's talk a little bit about the CLX Quench. It's a 240 AIO.
Yeah, so we've got the 240 going in this, and that AIO refers to an all-in-one, which means all of our liquid cooling is just all in this one piece here. We won't be opening it up or adding any liquid to it. It comes with the coolant already in there. The 240 refers to how many, the size of the radiator, which will also tell us how many 120 mil fans we can put on there. So 240, we can fit 220 millimeter fans on here. That's usually what we use for sizing, whether it's 120, 240, 360, with 1 fan, 2 fan, or 3 fans.
480.
So yeah, 480s do exist. We don't really see those too much. Definitely not in an all-in-one. It probably does exist, but I haven't seen it.
So yeah. Is the reference to the like to the length of the radiator, or is it in reference to how many fans can we put on it? Because if you put, say, if you did a push pull on the 240, would it then be a 480?
Right. No, it'd still be a
Okay.
240.
Considered a
Yeah,
240.
it would still be a
Because
240.
it's the size of the radiator. Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a size. It's kind of a little bit confusing because it is the size of the radiator, but it also does refer to the, fans that can go on there. So.
Question coming in from Brian Dolphins. Will there be a secret code today?
That's a secret.
That is an Ivory question. Wild West Pacific Northwest says Fantex Etho Elite has water-cooled 480 millimeter radiators built on, but in my case we took them off and put fans in the place since I chose to not go water cool it. Gotcha.
Oh yeah, that's a good decision. Yeah, we've built a few Elites here. Actually, quite a few Elites here. That case is massive. We've done some really cool paint jobs on those as well.
Is that the big? That's the big, isn't it?
Yeah,
Big.
it's probably the tallest case we have.
Definitely.
Yeah, I looked at that thing. That thing is wild, the stuff it can fit into it.
It is insane. We've had customers order them and like put like a Gundam model action figure like stood up in the case because it's so big.
What?
Yeah, it
That's
can do some
hilarious.
really cool stuff. And it can fit like 200 fans in the case. It's insane. Definitely not 200, but a lot.
A lot of fans.
That's wild. Wild West mentioned that they had it water cooled, the water blocked an Asus 3090 card and it crapped out. Oh no. Oof. So you're running a tough gaming 3090 Ti without water cool. Mentions it has like 20 inch, so they have 20 inches to play with, pure bare space. So it has 14. Looks like 14 fans. Is that 14 fans at the moment? That's got to be a well vented machine.
Yeah, it's so big. Maybe we'll get one of those on the show sometime. I'm worried about like hitting our overhead camera though if we had one of those.
Yeah, we would have to move around cameras.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't be able to see Hayden.
Get a different. No, you would not be able to see me.
You can see like the tip of my forehead coming out over the computer.
Let's yeah. So no, I do have a question here. Because ventilation works very specifically in the Leon Leo 11s. How does ventilation flow for these?
Yeah, so in this case, it's more of a traditional design as far as airflow. We're going to be intaking in the front and exhausting out the back. This does have options to add more fans if you'd ever want to. Right now we have 3 in the front and 1 in the back. We do have room for 3 more 120 millimeter fans in the top.
Got it. Okay.
So you would
we're going
exhaust
to be
out the top as well.
pulling the air through the radiator instead of pushing it.
Yeah, for this design we are. Yeah, and we could push through this, but we think it looks a little better pulling through, so that's
Got it.
what we're doing on this
And there's
one.
not a huge difference in performance.
Yeah,
or is
yeah.
there?
With it being a 240, this will cool just fine. If this case did have a 120, we would install that in the back and then have that fan pushing through the 120 and exhausting out the back.
Gotcha. Which is very interesting. Now, and we do have custom builds of these as well on the website.
Yeah, this is. I mean, honestly, this is my favorite case to build in. I like this and the O11s, but if I had to build 100 computers, it would be the Evolv X. They're just, I really like them. And then
Everything just flows better.
and we offer some really nice custom paint designs on these, so you can definitely check those out on the website. They look really good.
Doc mentioned that he saw an Elite where the girl glued all kinds of fake plants inside the case to make it look like a terrarium. And you did. I remember you sent me that picture. It actually is really cool. Yep. All right. By the way, the code is out. The code is out. Check it out right now. There you go. Yeah, it was brilliant. My first thought was, how are these not melting? But if it's cool enough in there, you don't really have to worry about that. Which is awesome. As far as cable management goes for this case, what are some of the advantages? What are some of the processes for this that are different from some of the other cases?
It's really nice because there's Velcro straps on the back.
Oh, no
you can-
kidding.
You can. It kind of like guides you. There's two rows that you can go. So I go down,
No kidding.
down, and then I bundle it and then tuck it. It's a very nice case.
Yeah, and then there'll be doors that
That
kind
cover
of
up
come
all
on these
the.
hinges that cover up. So we'll show that once the tie-up's done and we get the doors on. It looks so clean from the backside. Like you won't see any cables. You might see
That's
like
incredible.
a corner of your CPU cable up in the top, but that's it.
Absolutely incredible. Love it. So now we're getting those final steps up there on that, and then we'll get that graphics card installed. Anything we need to pay attention to when it comes to installing an AMD graphics card as opposed to like an NVIDIA?
Pretty much the same. You want to look out for the same stuff as if this wasn't an NVIDIA card. You really want to make sure you have enough length in your case. This case has plenty of room. And then obviously you want to be installing it in a PCIe by 16 slot. And that's pretty much it.
Nice. And so with this card, it'll also provide access still to all the other PCIe buses, correct?
Correct. It will be covering one of the PCIe by 1s that's directly under the top slot, but this does leave us with 2 open PCIe by 16s.
Gotcha.
Which is nice because you can obviously put a PCIe by 1 card in one of those 16 slots.
Yeah. You were not kidding. Hayden is very fast. So while we're doing this, let's take real quick. I want to talk about people who want to get their PCs.
Yeah.
Here with our wonderful group here at CLX Gaming. For those of you who are watching and want their opportunity to build a custom PC, it's so easy. All you have to do is go to CLXgaming.com. At CLX Gaming, we provide you an opportunity to build out your PC to the perfect specifications that are going to meet your needs, whether you're an architect, a graphic designer, whether you're editing film or audio, if you're a gamer, a content creator. There's so many possibilities and so many different variations that might be required in order to assemble the best PC. But a lot of people get a little intimidated because the first thought is, I may not know everything there is to know about PCs. Don't worry, we've got you covered. If you start out with the very basics, choose your case, then choose your processor, and then choose your graphics card. That's how I go about doing it. Then you'll see what works, what motherboards work, what RAM works, and if you run into a problem, don't worry. We have a conflict resolution system built in right into our store. It won't even let you proceed if there's things that are incompatible with each other. So it takes the fuss out of trying to be an expert when there's just some things that are way outside of our knowledge base. You can choose everything from your RAM, graphics card, additional storage, motherboards, RGB, fans, lighting, you name it. There's even spots in here to choose overclocking for your GPU, your CPU, as well as upgrading your thermal paste to the CLX Flux. All of this, and you can get it all right here on our store, along with peripherals if you should need, up into including a gaming chair. Our store pretty much has everything. It's a one-stop shopping center. If you're not really comfortable with building your own, don't worry. It's all right. We have pre-built, ready-to-ship systems available right now, as all the way up into including laptops for different grades, different styles, different designs, and most importantly, different needs. For more information about how to get a hold of your new PC and how to step up your game into the next generation of production, head on over to clxgaming.com. There you go. Boop.
Beautiful.
So Doc Chaos mentions, petty opinion, I wish the power supply companies would leave the label off the power supply and allow us to put it on oriented in the proper direction. I hate upside down labels. It's so OCD. I thoroughly actually agree with you on this one.
Same.
Definitely.
Now, speaking of which, we didn't really get a chance to talk about that power supply yet, and that is going to be a 750 watt GAMDIAS Kratos M1. It's an 80 plus bronze RGB. How does that stand up against other other 80 plus ratings?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, this is the bronze, so that's the second step up in the 80 plus rating. So the 80 plus rating system refers to the efficiency of the power supply, and just to get an 80 plus, you have to be at 80% efficiency, at 20%, 50%, and 100% loads. And then once you come up from that 80 plus, going to the next step with bronze, then silver, gold, platinum, and titanium, they get more efficient at those 3 levels as well. So that, really that refers to the amount of power coming out of the wall that your PC is using. So for most gaming PCs, I mean, go with 80 plus bronze, you know, higher if you want. You really want to get into those titanium and platinum ones if you're doing a mining rig, where you're really kind of, you know, counting how many dollars are coming out of your wall to power the PC versus, you know, how much it's producing.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
All right. Good to know. So, how are we doing on that
We are,
cable management? Looks like
yeah, we're pretty much done.
We're done. We're just.
So let's, since we've got a little bit extra time here, let's show
Yeah.
off a little bit of this backside of the case, and we'll kind of go over the cable management.
Awesome. Let's take a look.
Yeah. So we'll look here, and then we'll show you these plastic, or sorry, not these metal covers that come on. I almost threw one across the room.
Frisbee.
Yeah. So we're gonna. Hey, there we go. Perfect. So you can see how Hayden's got this here. You see these like white Fantex lettering. These are those Velcro straps he was talking about. And we've got some ones that you can't really see too well because they blend in with the case, but they're black here. So you can see he's got a bulk of his cables running here, and then the other coming down here, and all of it being tucked in here in front of the power supply. So this
Gotcha.
tie-up looks great, but what's gonna make it look even better are these covers here. So Hayden can throw these on, we'll show you. These are almost like little doors that go on.
Mm-hmm. And dang it, Doc Chaos, now I can't stop staring at the label.
Yeah, see, if you look at, so we have it upside down on the back side. So there you go, you won't see it. But if you're looking at it on the front, it's the right way. Yeah,
Oh
I
my
really
gosh.
don't like that either.
That's
it's
hilarious.
so frustrating. Because some case designs you have to have it the other way, so the part that's showing is the upside down label.
We have it upside down so that the RGB shines down
Yeah, that's
because this
good.
case design doesn't have any.
Ventilation above it. Yeah, so the power supply is going to breathe better, and you'll have some nice RGB glow under the case.
Gotcha.
So that's what
What's
this thing
that?
looks like all buttoned up.
It's really
Which
Panel
is
looks
super
nice.
clean.
Yeah, the panel assembly on the back is wonderful.
And we just take the doors off because it's easier to mess with, but these doors are on hinges, so if you ever need to open it up, the doors don't have to come off. They can just unlock with these
What?
tabs and swing open like that.
What?
Yeah.
That's super convenient.
It's really
And
good
of course,
for like, cable managing.
And speaking of cable management, of course, if ever you should get your PC and decide that you are wanting to adjust something, upgrade something, change something out, when you go in to open up your case, make sure you take a picture of the way the cable management is arranged so that it's easier to get it back in that same position. Cable management is essential not only for proper routing, but also to help maintain airflow and ensure the coolest possible response from your system. So,
You will
Yep.
see a difference in temps if you cable manage versus not doing it. So
and final question about cable management is, was this power supply, was it modular or?
This was
Semi?
a non-modular. Yeah,
Non-modular, okay.
non-modular.
So this did have a bunch of cables that we didn't have to use, so those are neatly tied up there and tucked in front of the power supply there. And with
Gotcha,
this
okay.
case design, this whole, you can see this shroud right here. That's what we call this. This piece right here that covers up the power supply. So it's kind of a nice compartment to store your cables. Your hard drives would mount under here as well if you had
cool.
any. But this design also keeps all the heat from the power supply not in the main part of the case. So it'll intake, the power supply will intake down here and then exhaust right out the back.
Cool.
Which is
Nice.
what I really love about the case is the front paneling having RGB behind.
Yeah.
So as soon as it
we'll show
snaps
that
in,
here
which
too.
I'm pretty sure it snaps in like magnetically almost.
Yeah, these little clips here. So this case has these RGB strips already here. And the connection for this, there's no plug-in, but it's just got 3 pins right here at the top that make contact with the front of the case up here. We're gonna get a little bit better shot here to show you guys. So you can see these 3 kind of gold dots right here on the front of the case. These 3 metal pins are gonna make contact with that gold dot, and that's what's gonna power your RGB.
Then your
So
whole
pretty
front of your
cool.
case, the whole front of your
Whole
case is going to have a
is gonna
glow to it.
glow. So you'll see. So
That's genius.
it really is. Like, because usually if there's RGB here, you got to unplug a cable and then deal with that coming off and all that. And this is really nice, so you don't have to deal with
It's already
that.
installed for
We
you.
just do this right here.
And I always assumed it was the fans
it's
that were
connected.
making it glow from behind, but no, that's coming from the actual panel.
Yep.
Yeah, this one's coming from the
That's
actual panel.
freaking
Which is
awesome.
really nice. And that panel matches up to our power button up here. And there's an accent that runs along the side of the case that you'll see as well. That's RGB. So
Oh, that's wicked.
yeah, I think we'll
Wicked.
get these panels on and see if it turns on. So
See if it turns on.
yeah,
Moment of truth.
moment of truth. Yep. I forgot to put the dust shield on here. So let me do that.
Juiced D Chico, yes. I know a code has been dropped
Plastic.
earlier, and it's a little bit higher up. We'll see if Ivory can possibly.
I believe it's exclamation scarab.
Let me do this. All right, there we go. I'll just repost this real fast. There is, nope, that's not right. There we go. Oh, everybody was on top of it. Look at all you. I am so impressed and proud of everybody. Look at just jumping in, teaming up. Oh, we can help out. Perfect. Awesome sauce. Dig it. Now these doors, obviously, this panel is a swing system. Oh, that's it. It just swings and latches shut.
It's magnetic here.
What?
This case also does come with screws to screw that in. You can see these screw holes here. We
Gotcha,
leave
okay.
those not screwed in because if you don't know that those are there, you'll yank your side panel like crazy and might break it. We've had that happen before.
Yep.
So those
Gotcha.
screws aren't included in the box, but these panels are held on there really tight with these magnets. So, you know, they're not going to swing open or anything like that.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, final moment of truth. Let's take a look at what we've just built for David in Kansas City, Missouri.
All right. Before you turn it on, how about, let's see here. These things are always so much heavier when you get them all built.
Right? It's a lot lighter when we brought it in here, guys.
All right, go ahead, Hayden.
Here it comes. Wow. There we go.
Might be able to get a little bit of, I'm gonna swing it around a little bit more to get some more.
There you go.
How's that look, Jason? Just trying to get a little bit more
Nice.
of those
Look at the
RGB
front
fans
panel.
in there. Yeah,
I
you can see
dig
those
it.
RGB glowing behind there.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
what I
that's
really
great.
like is this side here.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever, I've seen it. I just don't think I noticed it before now. That's great. Absolutely love it.
It looks good when it's all synced up together.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
does.
That's incredible. Let's take a
These
look
glass
once again.
panels are a little smoked, so it's kind of hard to see in there, but you can easily open that up.
Shines so much
Yeah.
better
There we
once
go.
you get it open.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look once again and go back over what we've got in this system. This, of course, is it's a CLX Raw with an Evolv case. This is got an AMD Ryzen 7 7700X octa-core processor in it that's mounted an MSI Pro X670P Wi-Fi ATX motherboard with onboard Bluetooth as well. Featuring two 8GB Kingston DDR5-5200 sticks of dual channel memory, which comes to a total of 16 gigs, and its graphics are going to be provided by an AMD Radeon RX 6800 XT 16 gig. Both of these elements, the CPU and the GPU, will be professionally overclocked by our team there at the CLX Assembly Center and Warehouse. And the operating system is going to be going on a 500 gig M.2 PCIe 3.0 NVMe SSD that's going to be loaded with Windows 11. It's going to be cooled, of course, by a CLX Quench 240 closed liquid cooler. And it has also got the 4 different GAMDIAS RGB fans installed with it as well. So, and the final thing that I meant to bring up, this of course comes default with a 1-year parts and lifetime labor and technical support plan, which is standard with any system you buy here. You can get up to 3 years parts, depending on the type of plan that you want. So make sure you check that out. Choose all of that on the website when you buy it. So that being said, final thoughts, gentlemen?
Nothing. Excited to do an Evolv. Thanks
Yeah.
everybody that watched and tuned in.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Really happy with the build and how it turned out.
Don't forget, the final day for you to enter and get any entries in for the giveaway is going to be the 30th of November. 30 days after November. Yeah. Okay. 30th of November. Our winner will be drawn on December 1st. We are here every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 Eastern, to help build up the next PC for one of our amazing customers in our custom build areas here at CLX Foundry Live. I almost said Sonic Foundry, and that's not us. CLX Foundry Live. On behalf of Jason, Paul, and Hayden, I'm DJ BluePDX, and we'll see you next time right here on Twitch.